Spring Street, but I have family that lives on the west side. My family is getting elderly. They are elderly. And my concern is taxes, if they do privatize, when they start doing all this elaborate building and the water, the consumption of water is going to happen with the bills. The elderly people, or most of us, we don't even have to be elderly, but basically we're on a fixed income.
Yeah.
What kind of incentive can you give the senior citizens on the west side, east side, wherever part of Red Bank that they live, that their taxes won't be exorbitantly high, pricing them out of their neighborhoods that they've been there for such a long time?
Yeah.
Thank you for your question. I'll tell you that the tax issues and the water rate issues are not unique to the elderly. One thing that, we'll come back to the tax in just a minute, but one thing that I have spent a lot of time looking at is the water in specific. What I found was I took the Red Bank water rates and I compared them to the rates in Fairhaven, where they use New Jersey American Water, and I compared them to the rates in Atlantic Highlands, where they have the same structure we do. They own the wells, they own the infrastructure, this, that, the other. On average, the bills in Red Bank are $218 higher than Atlantic Highlands and $478 higher than Fairhaven. So clearly the first place we have to start is we have to look at the water utility and understand why these rates are so high. Now I will tell you that what they do is they take that extra money out of the water utility and they use it to plug holes elsewhere in the budget. So when they didn't raise the taxes quite enough to make the money work elsewhere in the budget, in 2014 they took $500,000 out of the water utility and put it someplace else. And last year they took $950,000 out of the water utility and put it someplace else. So we got to start there. All right, so we'll take a look at the water. That's something that I kind of rolled up my sleeves on. I got a detailed trial balances. You accounting types out there know what that is. And I went through all the expenses there to kind of understand what was going on. I have a lot of questions on it. I want to understand it better. There's a lot of options in the water utility, so we're just going to leave that there. And I need to talk to people who work, more closely with the water utility to make sure that, what I'm proposing would be viable. So we don't have that opportunity tonight. Now on the taxes side, it comes back to where we started this, and that is how we cut the taxes. Where do we find the expense dollars to take out of the budget? So again, we have to comb through, and we don't take a scorched earth approach. What we do is we put together a longer term plan. We put together a 3 to 5 year plan so that we can take expense out ratably so that it doesn't shock anybody. Where I work now, our stockholders challenged us to take 2 points out of the expense ratio. What that means is we had to take $14 million of expense out of the budget. Now that's big for us. It's a lot of money. And we knew we couldn't do it in 1 year without laying off a whole lot of people, and we didn't want to do that, so we put it out over 3 years. And we looked at what's the attrition rate, who's probably going to retire, who's probably going to quit. All right, so we'll factor that in. And we found other creative ways to take money out of that budget, okay? So that's what you have to do. You have to start with the budget, you have to try to be creative, you have to say, are we doing everything we can do? And by the way, one other point I want to make before I hand it over to Sean, is when you put a budget together, you got to start from the ground and come up. You got to start from the ground and you got to say, what is it that we need? What services do we need? What dollars do we need to spend? You don't start with last year's budget and say, okay, what's different this year? Oh, that's a little different. We'll just change that a little bit. That can work. That can work. When your budget's working real well over time, it's a little bit of a shortcut approach. It works pretty well. But that's not where we are in Red Bank.
Do they have an assessment plan? Do they have like a 5-year plan?
Not that I know of. I'm not aware of it. Are you?
The only 5-year plan I know of is that property taxes are slated to double if they go up at this pace over the next 5 years.